Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we are going to have a little chat about painting your army because, as it turns out, painting your army could well be worth points.
Points make prizes. What do points make?
So specifically, we are talking about point 16, Determine Victor from the Eternal War missions, and this is part of the overall leaks that came out surrounding the 9th edition rules, all of that. And it is concerning victory points and painted armies. So, just to condense it down, although it is on the screen somewhere, I'm doing this as though I know that's where I'm going to put it. Just side note, past me apologises for future me should future me forget to edit it in, and past me absolutely promises that it will most likely happen again. So, essentially, you can get up to 90 victory points, 45 from primary and 45 from secondary objectives, and at the end of the game, you tally it up. Whoever's got the most wins. Easy, unless it's tied and then it's a draw. Also easy. However, second to last line is super interesting. If every model in a player's army was painted to a battle-ready standard, that player is awarded a bonus 10 victory points. This gives the player a maximum total score out of 100 victory points. Now, be very easy to maybe take the extreme view here and say, you know, that you grey plastic, you either get some paint on this stuff, you get some paint on it, or alternatively, you just get rid of it. No, don't put it on the table. I immediately regret doing that. I'm going to have to go and clean that up. The thing is it actually that bad? Is it really that much of a massive issue? Honestly, I don't think it is. Firstly, let's look at tournaments to start with. If a tournament enforces the rule that you need to have a painted army, that is just going to be part and parcel of playing in that tournament. If you don't like that rule, if you don't like that the tournament is enforcing that, you're just going to have to find another one. Frankly, rules when it comes to tournaments, you're going to have to follow all of them. Whether or not you like them, you're still going to have to follow them. So if they have this in place, if they are enforcing it, supporting it, then you're just going to have to get with it, paint your army, and that'll be that. This feels like a reward for the people who actually do paint, as opposed to a punishment for those who don't. That being said, it could also be easily done as a way to discourage those who just go with the current most powerful army, buy a bunch of plastic, put it together, slam it down, and then next month they're back with something totally different. If you like that approach, then it may be that some tournaments aren't the place for you anymore, but there will probably be others that are arranged that do not actually enforce this rule. It might be in the book, yes, but that doesn't mean that it's gospel. The book is not going to come to life and slap your mum because you didn't pay attention to the bit where it says, if your army is painted, you get an extra 10 victory points. When it comes to tournaments, it's pretty much a case of you do what the tournament says, or you don't play. This really isn't anything that new, and whilst it will take more time, I would imagine those who are completely dedicated to that scene would find the time to do that anyway, because it is part of the competitive nature of that. In that respect, I don't think it really makes that much of a difference, and as far as I know, a good number of them already have this stuff in place anyway. They already want painted armies, not grey plastic armies, and there are so many examples of things running alongside that are in fact actual painting competitions and the like, so I don't think it's that much of an issue from that respect. In terms of like casual play, narrative play, pickup games, all of that stuff, say, for instance, you are a new player, you have your grey army in a bag, you've only been here for 2 weeks, you've only been, you got the enthusiasm, the drive, you've assembled them all, you go to your local gaming store and you're like, hey guys, I don't have any paint on these, but I really want to play the game, I'm super excited, I'm new, can you show me the ropes? If the person that you asked to do that says, yes, sure, but I'm taking 10 victory points because I've actually painted my army, you shouldn't be playing with that person in the first place because they are not going to give you a fun first game. For people who are brand new, who are full of enthusiasm, who just want to play, ignore the rule. Just don't implement the rule. If you're going to be that nitpicky and that absolutely demanding of a brand new player, then you shouldn't be playing against them anyway, because the chances are you're going to start them into the floor and they're going to have a not great first experience. And you may think to yourself, that's a bit harsh. How can you say that? Do you even have any experience with this? Well, yeah, Because when I first started playing, there was someone at my local club who absolutely stomped the living shit out of new people on a regular basis because they thought it was fun to get an easy win. And guess what? It wasn't fun for the other person, you jerk. Now, when it comes to playing games with friends, say you have that one friend who is all about his orc army that he's had since third, and he just hasn't ever painted them. Doesn't want to paint them. Just lazy bar steward, not interested, don't want to paint. Now you could say to yourself, well, I love playing with them. They're great. He's awesome. She's amazing. One of my best friends. We play all the time. It's never bothered me before that it's grey plastic. I prefer to play against a painted army, but you know what? We've been friends since we were kids. I'm not just gonna stop playing with them. You're just gonna ignore it again, aren't you? You're not gonna do anything about it. You're not gonna go, well, it sucks to be you because the rulebook says I get 10 victory points. If you have the certain kind of friendship, maybe that'd be fine. Or alternatively, they might say, no, I don't like that. And you'll go, yeah, no, it's fine, I don't care. It's not going to have any impact on that, unless it really does have a massive impact, in which case, that is not great. Don't lose friendships over that. Christ. When it comes to things like pickup games, the chances are this rule is not going to come into effect 99% of the time. Here's the thing. You are the type of person who just realised that the example of the person who has a horde of grey orcs that they've had since third. I literally still have all my unpainted grey orcs that I've had since third. I was literally talking about myself. That's depressing. Anyway, let's talk about like pickup games. If you are the sort of person who refuses to play against unpainted armies, you're still not going to play against unpainted armies. Because you're not going to look at 10 victory points and be like, you know what, I normally hate playing against grey plastic, but now that there's 10 victory points in it for me, I will go through the misery. No, you're just going to not bother. It's not going to come up because you're not going to play anyone who is, playing with an unpainted army. Same thing as if you are someone who has an unpainted army and will play anyone. If you go up to someone and they say, yes, we can play, but because you're unpainted and I'm painted, I'm taking the 10 victory points, you will just say no thank you. Or you'll say, okay, sure, and then you will just ruffle stomp them to make a point. That's entirely dependent on who you are as a person. But you are well within your rights to go, yeah, you know what, I'll give it a miss. The only real time that this is going to be an issue is if you have two people who absolutely 100% are convinced that they are right in their point of view as to painted versus unpainted. And those two people would not have a great game together anyway. It would not be fun for either of them. If the response to, actually, I prefer playing against unpainted as such, I'm going to get 10 victory points. If the response to that is, you what, mate? I'm going to have you. Let's go out back and let's sort this out. That would not have been a fun game of 40k. The only time that it's going to be an issue is if no one talks about it beforehand, because it is an actual rule in the book. And the assumption is made, well, it's in the book, so that's how it works, I'm just going to do it. But if you're playing a pickup game with someone completely new that you've never played with before, there needs to be some sort of actual communication beforehand. Yes, it is in the rule book, but I would suggest that common politeness and common decency, if you see your opponent unloading an unpainted army, it would be on you to say, hey, just want to let you know that I want us to use this rule. If they say they're not cool with that, you don't have a game. If they say they are cool with that, carry on and have a game. You'd be grand. Clearly they don't care. It's not a problem. It's not caused any arguments. What's the issue? It's just not that big a deal. It's a liner book. You can ignore it completely. You can enforce it and therefore create a certain type of circle with which, circle of people with which you play 40k. 40k, it might be PvP by its very nature as a tabletop game, but it's also a cooperative game. If you go into a game with someone that, is win at all costs, that is super, super nitpicky, and you're not that type of player, you're not going to have fun, and they're not going to have fun playing against you. That is not something that this rule is going to change. That has no impact on that. That is something that would have been the case beforehand and is still the case now, that is not going to be a great fit for you. A whole part of 40k is that social interaction. You need it to play the game. It is 100% necessary. So if you're playing against people who you fundamentally disagree with in terms of certain rules, you are never going to have a great game to begin with, and you can easily sort out whether or not that is going to be an experience that you're going to enjoy well before the game starts. And all it requires is a modicum of communication, which you should be having anyway. When I've had games against people in the past at Warhammer World and stuff, I mean, one of the first things that I try and do is be like, I'm not super precise with stuff. I hope that's okay. Like, if we measure quickly and it's like, yeah, that's probably within 9 inches, I don't care. Go for it. I don't give a shit. Whatever. We're here to have fun. We're here to throw dice and see what happens. And, I'm not going to sit there going, actually, could you measure again? Because I think you'll find you're a 1 micron off. Who has time? Cares? If you're the kind of person who does, great. You will have people that you play with that have that same attitude, which you can decide whether or not this applies. Same thing with literally everything else. It's all about the attitude that you have going in. You do not have to do it because the book says you have to do it. Like I said, it's not going to come to life. It's not going to smack your mum. And, it's not going to do anything if you choose to ignore it. And the fact is that for the most part, people will either ignore it or they will enforce it. But the people they're going to enforce it against, they would never play against anyway. So what difference does it make? The only issue I have with this rule, the only issue that I really have, because it is completely ignorable, is there is what is the way to put it? I guess there is an air of discrimination about it in a way. There are people who really struggle to paint. Not because they're lazy, not because they can't be arsed, but because they have an actual condition that makes it incredibly difficult. There are conditions that cause severe spasms in the hands. There are issues that have chronic pain, fatigue, stuff like that in fact affect fine motor control. I mean, hell, one of the reasons I hate doing fine detail is because after a good, 10-15 minutes of painting fine detail, my hand does that. It just shakes constantly, and until recently, I couldn't do anything about that. Now, there is a trick where you can get an elastic band and you can, wedge your fingers against your palm, which actually sorts it, which has made a hell of a difference for me. But that is the one thing that I don't like about this rule. Now, I've seen the solution to that be touted as well, get a commission painter to do it. Commission painters are expensive. That's all there is to it. And there is a good chance that if you have the kind of long-term chronic issue that prevents you from being able to paint in the first place, you're probably not going to be absolutely flush with hundreds of quid to throw at commission painters. That is the one thing I don't like, because there are people who simply cannot control that. They still want to be part of the hobby. They still want to play. They still want a game. They should still be allowed to, without there being some sort of kind of penalisation. Even though I don't think it is designed to penalise, it's designed to reward, it would be very easy for it to come across like that, especially if you have something that prevents you from painting. That's the only issue I've got with it. Now, of course, there is a way round it, which I guess would be the person saying, I'm sorry I haven't painted the model, but I physically can't, but I don't want people to have to explain that. That's not nice. That's not fair. That requires a disclosure of information that, frankly, is no one's damn business unless they decide that they really want to tell someone. That's the only thing I don't like about it. The rest of it, you can just ignore it. You can just ignore it. It does not matter. It really doesn't. If you're playing with people that you've played with all your life, you're not going to pay attention to it. If you really don't want to play against unpainted armies, then you just don't have to do that. And if you really, really want to enforce it, the chances are the person you're playing against will just not play you. It's a tournament thing, and that's it. I'm pretty sure that is really the only setting in which it's going to be absolutely zealously and religiously implemented. The rest of the time, you can take it or leave it. Just like any other rule, if you really want. Can't be asked for terrain rules? Just don't bother. It's entirely up to you. You're the one playing. As long as your opponent's cool with it, who cares? Anyway, God, that went on a bit, didn't it? Might try and cut that down a bit. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do keep it civil. And remember, I didn't write the damn rule. I'm just telling you about it. There is absolutely no need to lose your shit at me. I did not consult for Games Workshop on 9th edition. You would know if I had, because there would be a lot more stuff connected to taking shots for losing models. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I have not taken a breath since I started the first sentence. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.